Hello everybody, welcome to another daily dose of your gaming news and all that good stuff. And before you start, I also publish on Rumble and I'm also on the social medias in case for extra support. So let's get started. Okay, I think tomorrow launches the RTX 4070. I suppose we should be able to see some reviews. I'm not sure if they sent review copies, review GPUs for like from the NVidia reference cards for people to review. I'm not sure, but we are seeing a lot of AIB partner RTX 4070s. Yeah, I will leave a link on the description to see. We got a lot of dual fans here. Of course, I think the triple fans one should be the ones with the 60 pin. Gives more TDP, like 20 or something watts. Honestly, in terms of performance, I think this GPU, mainly again from the thing that I've been hammering these past few days, 8 or 12? 12? Oh my god. Now I blocked. I think it's 12 still. Yeah, it's still 12 gigabytes. It's good enough at this moment in time with all the gamings that are coming out and will coming out soon. It's a good GPU for 1080p, high graphic settings and everything. Probably some ray tracing, also 1080p, because 12 gigabytes is going to be very short in 1440p at this moment in some games, specifically the latest ones like Resident Evil 4 Remake, the Hogwarts Legacy, Resident Evil, the one that came out now. Oh my god, my brain is completely mushed. But yeah, all these recent games that usually use a lot of VRAM, mainly because The Last of Us Part 1 for PC, that's the one I wanted to mention, sorry, they run out of VRAM, even though, of course, they, to a certain extent, can be theoretically better optimized, but the fact that I saw some video, I think it was from the Moore's Law is Dead podcast. He had like supposedly a developer from Unreal Engine 5, and the main takeaway of the VRAM stuff is it gets to a certain point that you can only optimize a game to a certain point. After that, because it's the texture specs, the meshes that uses for the textures, all the details, the RT performance, that overhead for VRAM and everything. You get also, in terms of proof in the pudding, and I left yesterday of hardware unbox video regarding when you start running out of VRAM, what kind of issues that you have. I forgot to mention at the time, for example, the textures, even if you stay still, because the VRAM is full, the textures are popping in and out, exchanging for the like high quality textures to low quality textures. You see all the memes in Last of Us Part 1 of the texture in the highbrows and everything, that kind of thing. It's mainly related to the quantity of the VRAM itself. It's not that much on the memory bus and everything, but of course it helps because the bigger the pipeline you have, the more information you can pass through there. Because you can have, like, if you have 50 gigabytes of VRAM, if the memory bus was supposedly, which is not, but theoretically was like 192 bits. It is not enough because the pipeline cannot handle passing through that quantity of information. But the VRAM, think of it like a buffer. It's a buffer for everything that the game needs to show on the monitor, and usually where it takes more space, that's why people are hammering on this issue. It's textures, the meshes, which are used to give more polished thing to the textures itself, and also how different the textures are, because before we had like the copy paste thing with the textures. If you saw like a mountain or even like interior of a house, all the textures are like copy paste, so it takes less processing power. Now basically all the tiles are almost individual texturized and different, and how they appear. That's why it uses a lot of VRAM, and NVIDIA made the huge mistake of launching this new 40 series with low VRAM memory, and it's going to cost them a lot. At least that's my opinion. mainly because what they are trying to do here, it's again, it's my rant. It is going to be my rant until they fix this thing. It's going to be my main take. They are going for Apple style stuff, which is selling new hardware, barely capable enough to do the things that it needs to be done, and you're only going to see some improvements if you use their exclusive technology. In this case, the LSS, the RTX, the ray tracing stuff, and also they are launching the path tracing and everything, the fake frame rates, and then with all that you have to compensate with reflex technology to try to mitigate the input lag of, for example, the fake frame rate stuff with this frame generation technology, which is just insane how they're trying to put all of this technology, push forward to try to mitigate the hardware that they are being launching. And with that said, of course, AMD already caught on this and is doing his thing of, I think it's not the best thing to go about it, goading NVidia over stingy VRam ahead of the 47 non-TI launch. They are some of these figures here are correct to a certain extent. Usually you can take it with a grain of salt. This is like average or kind of average numbers of kind of VRAM that you need to use if you want to play 4K gaming. And to a certain extent, this is what is happening. If you want to play 4K gaming, you need at least 16 gigabytes of VRAM. And it's that's what the 4070 Ti should be having. It's 60 gigabytes of RAM to play 1440p comfortably with everything on, which does not. It's already struggling in a lot of scenarios. Here they launched some graphs here. They take it with a grain of salt because the system used here are slightly different between the GPUs, so the CPU is not the same, I think, and the memory, the DDR is also not the same in every testing, but it gives you kind of a rough estimate of what kind of difference VRAM really does. And as you can see, it doesn't gain in everything, of course, but and some comparisons are kind of okayish regarding the GPUs, but they are better here on the latest GPU family here. As you can see, it is giving you a rough perspective because some games are better suited, especially in ray tracing things. They are better suited for NVIDIA because the ray tracing is it's better on NVIDIA because they are dedicated hardware to process the ray tracing thing. As you can see, there are some end nodes here because of the test they did. It's not, the system not exactly the same, but gives you a rough estimative of what the VRAM difference can make if you're playing especially in 4K and 1440p to a certain extent. If you push up the graphics stuff and if you put even ray tracing in all that things, you'll start to see some VRAM usage in a lot of scenarios. The fact that this 4070 Ti, I think it's like a good GPU for 1080p, full-on ray tracing and high graphic settings or ultra graphic settings or overkill graphic settings, whatever you call it. The problem is this GPU is going to launch almost $600, which is a crime against humanity of gaming community. This should be, at this moment in time, should be around maximum $400. I really think that starting to see this thing, but then you're going to see a lot of finicky with the 16 pin and 8 pin these GPUs because of the power delivery. You're going to see a lot of shenanigans around here. We'll see how it goes. But again, wait for reviews, but at least I'm trying to inform the best I can regarding this kind of shenanigans that these companies are trying to do to us consumers. As I mentioned, path tracing, it's already out for Cyberpunk 2077. It's, I think, around 20 gigabytes of a patch here for all these implementations here from the path tracing, whatever. It's again, it can look very pretty, but if you're in a 4090 trying to get this thing without those technologies, the DLSS and the frame generation and everything, you're going to get 20 FPS maximum. It's not worth it. It's very good in still images, but usually, especially in these kind of scenarios, you will not notice very much of what things are happening here. You might notice more in these kind of illuminated areas when you can see like the difference here, how the light shines in this AC stuff here. But in overall, you will not see a lot of stuff, because I think usually they'll try to focus more on metal reflections here and there and tile reflections, so you will not notice that much if you're playing especially a first-person shooter or first-person action game, even, or a more fast-paced game. You will not notice a difference in the unless they are you will not notice the difference on ray tracing. Basically, it's what I'm trying to put it. You can notice if you have the resolution 1440p to 4K, you can notice the graphic, the settings, of course you will notice. But ray tracing is very good for specific kind of scenarios. But yeah, stop rambling about this one. We got kind of good news. State of Play is set for the launch, for at least for tomorrow. We will see some Final Fantasy XVI gameplay. I'm covering this mainly because supposedly this game afterwards, I don't know, 6 months to 1 year, it will come to PC. I pretty much enjoyed the Final Fantasy 15. Even though it's a little bit convoluted by the end of the story, but I found that the changes they made, especially on the combat, it's make it a little bit more easier, but it's more fluid, it's more action-y style. But yeah, I found it interesting. I would like to see what kind of changes they made on the combat thing here, mainly with the summon stuff. I'm very interested to see. And we're going to wrap up with some gaming deals. Dying Light Enhanced Edition is still free on Epic Game Store. I will leave a link on the description here. Also, we have deals for mudrunner, like 80% off if you $5 if you get with all the DLC stuff. This is a very interesting driving game. It's a little bit more kind of relaxing and more technical because of the physics they implemented here on the terrain and off-road stuff here. It's very interesting, and it's different what we usually see on racing games. It's more about going about some missions here, trying to finding vehicles, unlocking on maps and everything. It's very, very, very entertaining. Also on Steam we have this one, Atom RPG Trudogad. It's very positive reviews. It's been out for a while. It's kind of between like old Fallout games and Wasteland gameplay from what I see. It's $5 if you want the base game, but if you want the deluxe game, you can get it by 10. And if you want the two games that have been launched, that were launched, $20. It's a very good price for all this kind of gaming. It's always like this kind of games when this kind of tactical RPG and to a certain point some open world, you got some missions to do, everything, and then post-apocalyptic. It's always good to see some good games here. And finally, I've got here in GOG the indie sales. We still have 7 days. I will leave this with the indie spring sale. There is a lot of games here that are very good. I usually recommend like Darkest Dungeon, No Man's Sky. It's been very good now. Hollow Knight, This War of Mine is very good also. Which ones? I saw more Shadowrun series is always good. Disco Elysium, FTL. I saw some good reviews here. Yeah, we got a lot of games here. I will leave the link on the search terms here, so you can choose yourself. Shadow Tactics also here in promotion, 90% off, which is also very good to see. Yeah, we got a lot of good games here. Yeah, on this indie sale. But yeah, I'm going to wrap up here. When the RTX 4070 reviews came up, I will do another rant for sure. But yeah, I'm going to wrap up with my Google GetFundMe for me to upgrade my PC to get better and more content for my private clients, and of course start doing some video content for them also, and in my free spare time doing the daily videos with more quality, and of course starting to do some scripted content to go in some kind of deep dives here and there. and resuming my gameplays, and possibly in the future doing some live streams. And with all that said, guys, I hope you have a wonderful day. I'll see you in the next one. So until then, Kunamy Master out.